there's some things in this conversation with baby boomer Kerre where she actually says something that I think are going to make your ears prick up with a little prediction you made at the end of last year about what's going to happen this year. So Kerre Woodham has put out a piece that basically says, this is an audio bit, National could be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And if it did, it would be one hell of an achievement. Let's play this for you. Chewy, throw your hand up or wave your hands around like you just don't care if you want to jump in at any stage. I'll probably pause it at some stage, but let's have a listen to Kerre Woodham's sort of analysis. It's funny, talking about motivated cognition, it's like Kerre Woodham is basically saying all these terrible things about Labour, and then like, so why is it National doing better? That's basically the summation of this. Let's have a listen. Oh, it's over here, isn't it?
9% of New Zealanders believe the country is on the wrong track. 42% believe it's going in the right direction. 77% of people feel poorly or not so good about the economy. 22% think it's good or excellent. And this is one of the largest gaps since the pandemic. And yet, National is only slightly ahead of Labour in the latest polls from Talbot Mills. They also run Labour's private political polling.
What's going on, Chewy? They're only slightly ahead. They should be smack. I mean, like, because financially I'm doing fantastically. They should be so much further ahead. What's going on here? I remember listening to Ricky Gervais he used to do the XFM radio show, which I still listen to sometimes on the internet. And they were talking about the financial crunch that was coming in the early 2000s. And Ricky Gervais goes, I don't get it. I'm doing really well. I've never been richer. And I kind of get that vibe, but not in a joking way from these sorts of people. It's like, it's just, I don't understand. Things are going so well. Yeah. For you, sweetheart.
Results, Te Pāti Māori would hold the balance of power when it came to forming a government. Get ready for another 3 years of a Labour Greens government, people. That is the joy of living in a democracy. How is it?
I don't you love it when right-wingers, like the right-wingers that stand up for democracy and stuff, when it doesn't work in their favour, they're like, oh, fucking democracy.
Yeah.
You know, what are we going to do about it?
That when even Labour knows they're stuffing things up and getting things wrong, hence the change of leader, hence the policy reset, there is still the potential for them.
Can I say this? You know who Isaac Butterfield is? Australian comedian.
Oh yes, yeah.
Fairly controversial. He's got a very good beard.
Yes.
Yeah, very good beard. Quite controversial. He did a bit the other day. I haven't seen it, but he was talking about how Jacinda Ardern, this is going around the internet at the moment, ran away, and ran out of gas and ran away from her job. I thought about trying to get a hold of him and just go, when you're on stage, if someone screams at you that you're a cunt for 60 straight minutes, you might eventually go, I've had enough, I'm getting off stage. Now, multiply that by about 20 million, and you might start to get to the point where I could imagine someone in public life actually being over it and wanting out. Now, I'm not naive enough to say that it's not more calculated than that, but just this idea of, oh, sure, why did she run away from it? I'm like, I don't think anyone has any idea. This is the first prime minister we've had that apparently is going to potentially need to have security for the rest of her life. That's what the Secret Service is saying, or the SIS is saying. I just don't think anyone quite gets it. And I thought about, a comedian on stage screaming at them to eventually they went, oh, I've had enough, and they walk off stage. But if a leader does it, it's like, pathetic. What a lie. So no, maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, that was referencing Kerre Woodham's thing about the Labour. They know they're doing wrong because they've changed leaders.
To get another 3 years. I know at News Talk ZB on this particular show, we're in our own little echo chamber here, but it can't be that Labour are doing things right. Even they know they're not doing things right.
It can't be.
The poll says people are dissatisfied and worried about the economy.
Yeah.
But voters don't feel that National is the overwhelming answer. Matthew Hooton, writing in the Herald this morning, says National's nonchalance stems first from it not understanding just how badly Hipkins, Cipollone, Robertson, Wood want to win a third term. They don't appreciate their hunger, their desperate desire to see things through, to get the policies they care about pushed through.
It's actually a really interesting commentary from Matthew Hooton, because what he's saying is we see, and I'll put my hand up, we see Labor sometimes as a bit of a soft bet, like they don't play politics well enough. But that description of Labor by Matthew Hooton means these guys are grizzled and hardened, and they're in it for the fight, which is a particularly interesting small observation from him.
Whenever Hooton pipes up, like, he's been so wrong so many times about his own party and the people that he backs. He threw in with Judith Collins, he threw in with Wayne Brown.
Was he Muller as well? He might have gone with Todd Muller, mightn't he?
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, he just keeps on back and loses. At what point do you go, actually, he's a Labour Party plant?
Let's keep going.
They believe that they have to keep National out of power because of the damage that they believe the 1990s National Party did to families, communities, and childhoods.
Yes.
They remember that. They themselves were affected by it. And they remain convinced that the National of today is ready to re-emerge in the clothing of the National of the 1990s.
Well, I think the point that Kerre Woodham making there is fair, but I think the one addendum she's missing is she's saying Labor is convinced of that. It would appear that enough of the voting base is also convinced of that to be keeping it close at the moment. That's what I would say. This bloody democracy, democracy. It seems that enough people, which is why and I haven't got the numbers tonight, but when we last looked at the trust numbers, that the trust numbers for Luxon were terrible. I think there's enough of the public who remember those days, who remember all the things that came off, all the user pays that came in, all that sort of stuff, that it's not just perhaps the Labour leadership who think that, but enough New Zealanders also think that warrant concern.
I think it's interesting because we've got two, I guess, like institutional memory, I guess, of that time, like the National Party of the 90s.
Yeah.
A lot of people remember that for all of those changes in policies. What was it? Euthanasia? Just the absolute brutal cuts to social services.
Ruthonomics?
Rogernomics. That was Labor. And that's the other sort of institutional memory. The farming sector remembers that, and they blame Labor, and they still blame Labor for it.
Although, did you read I think in the weekend, I bookmarked it somewhere, the head of Federated Farmers saying that the farmers have lost a friend in Jacinda? Did you read that?
What?
Yeah, I'll try and find it. I'll try and
oh
find
my
it.
God. Has the Federated Farmers, I mean, they must have lost touch with a big segment. Well, not even a big segment, a loud segment of farming, though. Because groundswell came out of farmers that didn't feel that like they were being listened to by Federated Farmers.
There you go. Found it just like that because I am a genius. Federated Farmers President Andrew Hogarth believes the agriculture sector is losing a friend with the shock resignation of Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. So,
Jesus. Okay.
Just
you could have maybe cracked that one out a little bit earlier there, buddy.
All right, let's keep going with Kerry Boomer, whatever her name is. Woodham.
Matthew Hooton says too that National doesn't understand David Seymour's ACT Party,
Yeah,
and its only credible coalition partner. If, and it seems likely, that Christopher Luxon can't get National above 40%. I've spent time with Christopher Luxon. He's come into the studio. He's taken calls from you.
She almost seems in pain, doesn't she?
All the answers. He's got all the figures. He's got all the detail.
He's got all the answers.
An impressive grasp of detail.
Impressive.
He's perfectly personable.
Yeah, yes.
But he's just not getting any cut through. I don't know what more he can do. He can't be somebody else.
Wait for it.
Somebody else could be the leader of the National Party, but I don't think that would work right now.
Oh, did you hear it, Chewy?
I did.
Did you hear it, Chewy?
I'm just saying.
Hang on. Stop. This is a little bit of your glory. So I'm leaving. And you can just, this is your prediction from last year. What would you like to add?
I am all a tither. I will be, and this is my other prediction here. I will be unbearable if I am correct on this. I will like a son collapsing into a black hole. I will be overwhelmed by my own smugness if I
Yeah.
get this right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Mark it on the calendar.
We'll keep going.
Especially after Labour has replaced its leader. It would look desperate, and it would be desperate. I think Hooton is right, though. The best opportunity to gain traction on Labour would be for National to form a working alliance with ACT. Work out what policies they can work together on, what a centre-right New Zealand would look like.
Centre-right. ACT
so
party.
voters can decide
Centre-right.
whether that is the direction they want New Zealand to head in. We know where Labour wants to take us. We've seen an example of the sort of policies they would like to become set in stone in New Zealand's legislation. We know what Grant Robertson can and cannot do. So we have a good idea of what a Labour government looks like.
So this is where we go through the things like lowest unemployment, lower inflation than the rest of the OECD, all these good things. That this is what Grant Robertson's all about. Is that what she means? Do you think that's what she means? Or do you think she means, they talk about gender too much? Do you think she might mean that? That might be more what they mean. I don't know.
I think they really do need to work together, Christopher Luxon and David Seymour, to show voters what a centre-right New Zealand would look like. More about the policies.
We know what it would look
New
like.
Zealand. No, we don't want any more empty rhetoric. We've had 5 years
That's all he's got.
of sloganeering and empty rhetoric.
Oh my God.
Little catchphrases that have become earworms for a generation of people.
There you go. That's enough. Speaking of earworms.
Man, she is so okay. I like to think that I don't like to think. I'm very aware that often I'm in my own lefty bubble. And at times that can just swing around and smack you in the face. Wow, that's gonna hit her like a fucking truck.
I used to work after Kerre Woodham. I don't have many nice things to say about her as a human being. I now want to see Labour win more than ever before, if for no other reason to stick it up.
She sounds divorced from reality.
Yeah,
I can get someone going, "Hey, look, Labour's not my cup of tea." There's some things in the last couple of years that I didn't agree with, but that's just that's unhinged Kool-Aid drinking there.
Yeah, well, look, she's not a very nice person in my opinion. And also, she's so disingenuous at the moment. And look, this is not just me talking. Chewy, there's some people I talk to in the radio industry about various things. Is that since she took over from Leighton Smith, and look, Leighton Smith, for all my disagreements with his politics, was the yardstick when it came to talkback. The best talkback host New Zealand's ever seen, without question. Kerre Woodham fills in, takes that slot over, and rather than forging her own path to where she would naturally sit politically, which I used to listen to in the evenings before I came on after her, she's basically just taken on a right-wing position to service Leighton's audience. It's also just real performative kind of radio and stuff as well, that it's and just real self-serving.